threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
This is it.
This is it. Welcome, Cam.
Yeah.
How's
We're
it
here.
going? How's your New Year?
It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Apparently you can't say that.
You can't say New Year?
No, you can't say it's going to be a good year.
Oh, yeah,
It's got-
yeah.
Everything's good.
My wife was like, "Oh, you're going to jinx us." I didn't
Yeah,
know
no,
she
it's
was.
good.
Didn't know she was that superstitious.
I didn't either.
It is what it is. Yeah. If you haven't listened to the last episode, we had the wives on just recently.
That was the first of
a
the
couple
year.
days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it? Was it the new year at that time?
I think so. Well, yeah.
Yeah, it was,
It
'cause
dropped
it
on the
was-
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
so
had
that
it
was-
planned like 6 times, so I forgot when
I
we
know,
did it.
kept getting sick. And, yeah.
Whole
It-
town is sick.
The whole town is
Whole
sick.
state, I think, is sick.
Yeah, it's no bueno.
Yeah.
As you can hear, I still am fighting off whatever this is.
Manhood.
The bubonic plague or something.
Yeah.
But
It's
anyways,
all right.
but
It's
we're
all right.
here
Yeah.
today, and we have a really good episode for you.
I think so too.
Right?
Because we always seem to go into like goal setting and
Yeah.
like new time preppers. Let's talk about all the reasons you don't prep.
Yeah.
Common prepper excuses. I like that'll be really interesting, don't you think?
I think so. I think that's why we picked the episode, right? Because we thought it was
I'm like
gonna be
going
interesting.
back on it. Too late now.
Wait. Is this a good one? I don't even know. Should we talk
No,
about
I think
this?
it's good because there are. I mean, just like anything else, it's easy to come up with excuses, and I think prepping is a big one for people. It's just like, we'll talk about the reasons why
Yeah.
a lot of people don't actually get into it.
For sure, yeah.
Maybe.
Before we get to that, though, I got to tell you about BattleBox. It is the monthly subscription box full of solid gear for adventure seekers, survivalists, outdoor enthusiasts, and casual preppers. Each month, BattleBox sends you the coolest selection of hand-picked outdoor survival and everyday carry gear, all valued at far more than what you'd normally pay. You never know what's in the next box, but here's a sampling of what users received this month. The EcoVessels
COVID-19.
yeah, it's good stuff. Wonderwear reusable stainless steel set. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that's way cool.
Love it. Rocket Gator Mammoth Series 60-liter waterproof duffel.
We've not gotten a duffel.
That's the first
Starting
one.
a whole new thing for me on bags.
It's cool. Yeah, Cam's getting all into it. All this badass starts at just $34.99 per month. They've shipped over 1 million boxes and won best subscription box of 2020. Our listeners get a free knife when you sign up at battlebox.com/casual preppers. Get your first BattleBox plus a free knife when you sign up at battlebox.com/casual preppers.
Listener reviews start
easy enough.
now.
Seems easy.
Get a free knife.
That's right.
I'm prepared. I'm prepared for it.
That was like a Italian Russian.
That's why I was like,
Whoa.
dial it down a little.
Yeah.
Do I read the whole thing in Russian?
I think so,
Probably not.
yes.
Okay. Love this podcast. In this mad world, binging your work has helped me through day.
Through days. Through the days.
Through day. I've only been at prepping for a few months, so I have a long way to go. But it's a weird reading.
I know.
But I am prepared, better prepared than most. I owe that to you guys. I learn and laugh out loud. Keep him coming, please. Thank you. Cindy Lou Who.
Apple
good.
Podcast.
Cindy Lou Who.
That's great. 5 stars. If you guys want to be a part of this portion of the podcast, go to iTunes, go to Facebook, leave us a 5-star review. Make it awesome.
It's a mad world.
Hey, Cam, our good buddy, Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, yeah.
He's at it again. I don't know if you've heard about this, but the Facebook founder's underground bunker, estimated to be worth around $270 million,
Where's this at?
is being built on the northeast side of Hawaii's Kauai Island.
They've got to be super irritated. Guys just digging holes,
digging holes and
hiring hoes. I don't know.
yeah. Details about Zuckerberg's newest property have been revealed, and it's quite luxurious. Zuckerberg has been buying up land near his Hawaii property to gain more building space. Business Insider reported the underground bunker will include its own energy and food supplies and what appears to be a blast-resistant door. It's 57,000 square feet, roughly the size of a football field. The space will have
Play some good VR in there.
Yeah, man.
A lot of open space.
The space will have more than a dozen buildings with at least 30 bedrooms, 30 bathrooms, multiple elevators, offices, conference rooms, and an industrial-sized kitchen.
Wow.
It will also include a full-size gym, pools, a sauna, hot tub, cold plunge, and a tennis court. The bunker will boast, this is weird, 11 tree houses with intricate rope bridges.
Okay.
You're just like, I always wanted one of those.
I
since
love
was
that
a
door.
kid. So I want to get there. Anyways, that's kind of crazy. Anybody who's working on it has to sign like NDAs. It's kind of nuts.
That is
dude.
nuts.
Yeah. And so people are
First
kinda,
hole dug 2 feet, hit water.
oh, I know, yeah.
Like, how would you do
hit
that?
lava.
there?
What are we supposed to do now?
And it's weird. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Everybody wants a bunker, right? But
Oh, I think
in
so.
Hawaii, you're like, I'm going to go deep away from all the
Yeah.
nice scenery.
Kind of just seems like you'd have to get to Hawaii.
I
and
know.
then,
I'm like,
I don't
okay,
know.
whatever.
But I guess it's those guys that have their bunkers over there in New Zealand. Same kind of
That's
deal,
true.
right?
Just a bigger island, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Anyways, weird stuff going on.
That is weird.
Weird.
This one isn't so weird. It's just, I mean, what's going on in Florida?
Nobody
Florida
knows.
woman wants Hershey to pay $5 million over misleading Halloween sweets.
Oh, really?
This case is seeking damage. The case is seeking damages for anyone in Florida who bought items including Reese's peanut butter pumpkins, peanut butter bats, peanut butter footballs, and Christmas assortment of peanut butter snowmen, stockings, and bells. She claims that the outside picture, that shows the pumpkin with a little face carved into it.
Yeah.
There's no face in it.
Oh.
She was deceived.
She's mad about that.
So she wants $5 million because she paid her own $4.49 at the Aldi supermarket.
Yeah. Then they wouldn't take him back.
No.
Nope.
She took a big old bite probably.
Yeah.
But
Don't taste
yeah.
like a face.
When she opened the bag and she found that not only were the facial features missing, there were no carvings whatsoever. So,
Messed up.
man, our world is just, it's tough times.
I don't know how she got through the day after
I
that.
don't either. But I'm like,
Well, I hope she gets her money.
it's
You
just, we live in a hard world nowadays.
Yeah.
Thought I'd throw that in that,
Yeah.
people have it tough.
You can't even get candy these days and
People
be satisfied.
have it tough.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good one. Well, let's get into this. Common prepper excuses, and then this is something that could be useful for several things. One, for yourself, if you're like one of those people that make excuses of why you're not doing this thing specifically with prepping. Here are some reasons that you might
Everything.
be rolling around in your head, and we can kind of talk about why those reasons are good or bad, or what is a good way to kind of get around those reasons. Also, if it's like, a family member or a friend or somebody that you know that is making these excuses, this is kind of good to think about and know, and you can help them.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you know what? Yeah, man, I get that.
Yeah.
But here, let's talk about
I bet
this.
you someone that doesn't prep, one of these is like their big problem.
Most likely, for
Most likely.
sure. So let's kind of get started with it. In a big one is this is something we see all the time: is it won't or it can't happen to me.
Nope.
As far as
Everything's perfect here.
Yeah.
We've got
Yeah.
all the support we need.
Which is a funny one these days because it's happened to everybody. I mean, when you think about back to the pandemic and all that kind of stuff.
I think it was
whoa,
a big shocker for a lot. There's
Yeah.
like, I didn't realize. I mean, I knew, but you really saw just how fragile our
Yeah.
like economy and not economy, but like shipment and
Yeah.
how much we rely on everyday shelf like foods being stocked.
Yeah.
It just happens overnight.
For
we
sure.
don't know how it happens.
But how many people did you have discussions with? I can remember some very specific discussions near the beginning of the pandemic where people were like, nothing's going to happen. We're going to talk about it for a week on the news and then it's going to be over with. And I'm like,
Everybody.
look, we've obviously doing what we do. We had a lot of involvement in it. We were looking up all the information. We were really involved in it. And I'm like, I think this thing might actually be a thing
Yep.
that we have to discuss. And people are like, hey, nothing's wrong. Nothing's going to happen. In a week, everybody's going to go back and laugh at this. And then, obviously it didn't.
It was like, 1 or 2, like 2 or 3 weeks before, I remember stopping and picking up extra water and stuff.
Yeah.
And then,
Weird.
then
huh?
that lockdown, man.
Yep. And
Tough stuff.
But and that comes back to something that we talk about all the time, which is normalcy bias, right? That's kind of the thing that gets people not preparing sometimes. Basically, people assume that the best is always going to happen. They're not thinking about those uglier alternative ways things can turn out.
Right.
It's a form of denial. Kind of protects you from anything that's like too far out of the norm for you, right? And it's the funny thing is like how often do we see emergencies happening around the world? It's
Right.
all the time. Every time you turn on the news, something is flooding, or there's a tornado, or there's a pandemic, or there's a cyber attack, or there's a home fire, whatever it is, it's constant, but it's really hard for people
It's kind of numbing.
Yeah.
You're just like,
that's
not
true.
a big deal. This is world.
Yeah, this is
the
just
world.
how it is. But it doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
So I don't need to worry about that, right?
Probably fake anyway.
It's all fake news.
It's all
fake news.
staged.
Yeah. So, you hear like, oh, that sucks. Oof, never going to happen to me. I don't have to worry about it. That's nice. But it's really hard thing to make people understand is that it can happen to you. And to be honest, it will happen to you at some point. There's going to be some sort of an emergency that hits you. And you just never know. That never happens until it happens.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. And this is something that Jim Shockey was talking about when he was on the podcast with us. A lot of people, they just don't want to think it could happen to them.
Yeah, there's definitely that denial.
I mean? Yeah, it's like a denial thing. It's because like if I do think that that's a thing that's going to happen, then I have to deal with it in some way.
Or even that it could. It's like almost like they jinx themselves. So
yeah, exactly.
I start preparing. Government's going to collapse this whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, that's definitely a big one. This normalcy bias. It can't happen to me. Won't happen to me. Superman. Nothing ever happens around here.
And it's not even those. Yeah, and it's not even those big things like you always talk about of like the personal apocalypse things too. It's like, I won't ever lose my job. Anyone can lose their job for sure at any point.
Days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm about as secure as can be, but I still can. I'm like, oh man, you never know.
I know.
Like you just don't.
Yeah.
What would I do?
Yeah. We've seen like at the hospital, somebody that's been there, like a nurse anesthetist that was there forever. And like some little argument with somebody over kind of a big deal thing. It was like but he was gone. Like they didn't even give him any time. And I was like, they can do that?
Wow. Yeah.
So anybody is at risk of that. And and you don't think it can happen to you. We're not just talking about the asteroid strike.
That's right. Yeah. So it could be anything.
The other thing is, and this we saw a lot during the pandemic too. Mm-hmm. And I think it also goes into, like you were saying, it's like the news and stuff kind of shows these things and then it's just forgotten. Yeah. Like, is the Ukraine war even happening anymore? You know what I mean? It's just
I don't
like,
know if the Ukraine is there anymore.
I know. It's like, it kind of just, it's a big deal for a minute and then everybody just assumes everything goes back to normal. So, one big thing, a lot of excuses that, okay, something happens, a lot of it's going to resolve pretty quickly. Yeah. Like, we have a good system, we have a good government. Like, it's not going to last that long, so I don't need to get crazy and store 3 months of food or a year's worth. Because it just never will.
And that thing that people say, we have a good system, good government.
I know. Yeah.
Not so much. When you look at it, it's
or
very,
even
very
a
fragile.
good community, it's like we have a good community. They're going to be there to support everybody. You don't know that.
No.
And it probably won't happen if it's a long term thing. So,
yeah.
But our system, a lot of us think it can take a beating and keep on going. Mm-hmm. But a simple, nasty virus that was both deadly, but, a lot of people survived. It screwed our system up even to today.
Like we're still feeling those repercussions, right?
And so luckily it wasn't as devastating as it could have been. Because you could, that's all it took. Shutdowns and people having to stay home. It screwed everything up big time, quickly. And so a lot of people, we just don't see that in our lifetime, or a lot of people haven't. So we just don't believe that it can happen.
Right.
And we always feel like we could recover. We just bounce right back. We're America. We're A-OK.
Yeah, and we are resilient, obviously.
We're a great country. We have, if any could, right. But it's like, it can easily collapse too. Sure. It's crazy how fragile. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, most of the time, is like, 3 to 5 at most, like a storm or something like that. It should blow over. The most problem I would have, 3 to 5 days, maybe a week. I could probably be fine with that. You'd be surprised that just in a week.
Oh, gosh.
Like, I remember, was it last year, that storm and the people in California, they were trapped and a lot of them died of starvation. Like, in California, super rich state, and they were living in the mountains. Yeah, in Texas. So it's like, we can't go that long without the
3 to 5 days is a lot longer than most people think if you haven't prepared anything. Yeah. If there's no power.
You ever had a power outage for more than a day? I can't even remember. that long, but I remember
Yeah.
like a few hours being like an eternity.
It feels like forever.
You're just like, why do we do
Especially
everything? And you're like opening the fridge, like, oh, and you're clicking light switches.
Yeah,
You're
all the
always
time,
thinking it's
yeah.
on. You're like, oh, I forgot the power's
I
off.
forgot. Let's go turn on the TV.
It's
Oh,
weird
wait.
the routine
Yeah.
like that we have that will definitely be interrupted. And then and that's the thing that's hard to motivate people is because they haven't experienced it to be able to go and prepare yourself for this thing that they've never experienced or even know anybody that's really had to go through something that long.
Yeah.
That's another thing that makes it really hard. Also, the other things that are overlooked are like banks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, "Oh, the banks will never close." Like, what's that one in Silicon Valley that just collapsed?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yep.
just tons of money just gone. Like,
Yeah.
and so, they can go super fast. Like one of my favorite movies is one I can't remember the title of. That's the Christmas one with oh my gosh. He works at the bank. He takes over the bank because his dad dies.
Oh,
A
right.
Miracle.
No, not that. It's I know what you're.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Couldn't get to it.
My brain was like,
Yeah.
gone. But that, like, people, as soon as they feel or are concerned, pull all their money out.
Yep.
And the banks don't have everybody's money there at the same
They do not.
time.
That's not how they work.
Yeah, so that system will collapse. And then, not to mention, like, if a full grid down, like, you can't get most of your money because it's all digital and, and you have cards and stuff like that. Supermarkets, obviously, they depend on a daily stocking and
Yeah.
trucks that come in. That gets interrupted for just a day or two, and it's crazy how fast the shelves are cleaned off.
I mean, we just again with the pandemic, we saw how people were so desperate for toilet paper, and not even just toilet paper. There was like OTC meds
Yeah.
people couldn't get. A lot of stuff that's like
yeah,
so
the OTC
simple.
meds were gone.
Yeah,
Frozen meats.
Yeah.
I remember having to like put your name down,
Right.
and waiting a couple of days. And luckily it came, and
Yeah.
and if it never does, that's the scary deal.
and like we were lucky because other places in town started to pick up some of the slack. I remember there were restaurants that were selling
That's
like frozen
right.
steaks and
I bought a
chicken.
bag of flour from our steakhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, they were selling some steaks and stuff. It's just weird. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it was weird. It was a weird time.
Yeah,
Forget about it. Like, block it out.
yeah, exactly.
I don't think it happened.
Didn't actually happen.
But yeah, like our system like runs very smoothly, but it's super fragile in
Yeah.
many ways, like money, banks, grocery stores, just regular everyday like goods store like Walmart and stuff like that.
Maybe just think about
depend
the
on
medical
getting
stuff.
everything shipped in.
Yeah.
The medical stuff.
I mean, to think about like
antibiotics. So last year was that when the shortage of antibiotics was?
I don't know.
Man, that was hard to work around because you have those people that are like, I'm allergic to everything. You're like, well, then just go die.
Yeah, you're done.
Because like the 2 antibiotics that you can take are out of stock.
Yeah.
But like not just that complication, but it's like common stuff like amoxicillin and like Cipro and cephalexin. Like we ran really low and had to wait to get those. And I mean, that was during just a really bad season.
Yeah.
Like if you have a pandemic or something, like those meds are all going to be wiped
And
out.
it doesn't even need to be a pandemic. It could be it could be a cyber attack. It could be something that disrupts the
Contamination
shipping.
or anything.
You know what I mean? Like it could be anything.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to get that across to people sometimes.
It really is.
I mean, I think
it's hard to
getting better.
comprehend because we've had it so good and I never really had to experience that, even up to this age in life. I'm like in my 40s and I don't remember ever going through something like that.
No. I mean, obviously the COVID was the
COVID
thing.
was the worst, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe there was some bad times, power outage
Right.
on the farm, but it was
Yeah.
like you didn't have to worry about anything.
No, you're 15 years
I
old.
can't see my tractor today, the little toy tractors.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah, so anyways, that's kind of one big excuse is people just don't think it's going to last that long.
Yeah, I could see that one. Here's a good one. A lot of people have that some real good faith when it comes to what the government can do for them. Right. And this is a really hard one to overcome because yes, the government does have some plans for certain disasters in certain situations. They even have people that are doing a job full time that is to help people through disasters, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what a lot of people are like, well, they're there.
But even at that, all of their stuff's preventative.
I know.
He's like
Pretty much. I mean, there's obviously other stuff like Red
it's like-
Cross and
they have plans
FEMA.
during, but
Yes.
it's like the biggest part of that. It's like preparedness before.
Yes, exactly. That's the biggest thing that they do. But yeah, and then they've responded in some way in past events, Katrina, but we saw like how well that worked out, So it's with all of this, it's like really hard to explain to people why that isn't something that you should rely on for your preparedness plan. Like that's not your plan. That's
Right.
not a plan. This is like a supplement to, and even then, like I don't even see it as a supplement, right? And that's the thing. It's like we know that when the cops are called, usually they come, within a timely manner. Not always, but if there's a medical emergency, usually an ambulance shows up and helps people when they're needed. But those are those like low level disasters that usually only involve a few people. And we're talking about maybe a large scale disaster or a long term.
331 million people in the United States.
Yeah.
And
Good
it's
luck.
like a good thing there's another 330 million that are doing okay that can help you out.
I know, yeah, exactly. It's like, what do they have? A couple thousand people in FEMA or something? Like, I don't know how many people there are, but how much can they actually do?
Right.
And how much will they actually do? And how much have they done in the past?
Yeah.
Right. And when we're talking about, like I said, large scale disasters or long term situations, the government honestly has little to no plan for you to keep you safe and alive. It's very, very minimal, whatever it is. And I'm talking mostly on a national level. There are some local,
Right.
Your
You
local
can only do
emergency
so
managers.
much.
They can only do so much.
There's just no way.
There's
they
too many
can-
of us.
Yeah, there's
right,
too-
and that's the whole thing. They're really not going to be there to come to your apartment and help
Right.
save you. That's just not what their job is, or they couldn't do it. Even
Who isn't
going
going to drop their job just to be with their family and protect their family?
Yeah,
Most.
yeah, and like you said, they do have some great resources like FEMA that help you beforehand. Like here's some things that you can do, some information to help make you better prepared for something, and that's where you can rely on them a little bit, is to give you some of that information, and it's usually very bare minimum stuff that you can do,
Yeah.
right? But when that disaster hits, it's going to be all up to you. The government itself has a fantastic plan for keeping itself going in like dire straits,
Thank
in an
goodness. We
apocalypse.
won't lose
Yeah.
and which is not always bad.
No, it's not always bad.
We need to have a government.
We do, but they don't have a bunker for you somewhere.
No.
It's
It's for them to keep going.
they don't have food for you somewhere. They just don't. That is up to you.
Yeah.
Right. And and along the same lines as this, like that excuse of the government's going to help me. Some people think, well, my family will help me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Which I get that, and they probably will try to, but that's not necessarily a great preparedness plan either. My church will help me.
Yeah. I have that kind of in this next part.
Oh, do you?
too.
Okay.
Exactly the same.
Or my neighbors in my neighborhood.
Exactly.
And I get that because you trust your community, you trust your neighbors, hopefully, in some way, shape, or form. And you do feel like they're going to be there to help you in some sort of a SHTF scenario, but they're not going to like give you everything they have so that you can survive. They're just not going to do that when it gets bad enough. So it's up to you. It ain't up to the
exactly.
government.
And yeah, kind of adding on to that, that's kind of the next one is like, not just relying on other people, but they're like, well, I'll just come to so-and-so's house.
Yeah.
I'll just come to your house. Like we get that
Oh my
joke all
gosh,
the
yeah.
time.
Constantly.
It's like, they start talking about preparedness and they just laugh. I'll just come to your place. Like, dude, I barely have enough for my family.
I mean, not even be there.
I don't know if you understand what casual means.
Yeah. But yeah.
But yeah, so but people joke about this, but I really do think a lot of them just assume, I'll just go to my mom and dad's, or I'll just rely on my neighbors, or I'll just rely on the church to give me food and supplies. There's just too many people. And in desperation, like people aren't willing to give up food to feed you when they can't feed their kids. There's no way. I wouldn't.
No.
Like, you'd be crazy to think that somebody'd sacrifice that. There's only one person on this planet that would do that, and her name's Tawny Hardy.
Yeah.
She would give up.
And I'm glad I know where she's going to be in SHTF.
We're going to die.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm
Because
gonna
she will
live.
take care of those around us.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, even if they don't rely on the government, their plan is just like, well, our community will come together and we'll have those resources, and all of us are of the same faith. So, we're going to come together and help, and we'll bring all of our substances into one location, and whatever plan you think's going to happen, it's just not going to happen.
No.
To some extent, there'll be some help, But
Sure.
if anything, they're probably gonna be like, "Why don't you bring some of yours to share with others?" And I'm like, "I don't know if I want to do that."
Yeah. I think like, I do think like you and I would do a thing where we're like, hey, let's pool our resources.
Yeah,
here.
where's our limits and like what do we not have? And
But because we know each other so well, we've thought about it. We know each other is prepared. It's so we feel like I think you would feel like we can get further along.
yeah, you understand
together.
preparedness, and
Yeah.
we've gone through these episodes.
But that's not the same. Like your neighbors aren't going to feel that way
No.
about you.
yeah,
As much as they like you or they see
Exactly.
you at church or whatever
Yeah.
it might be, they're not going to be like, okay, well, you can have my last steak.
yeah, exactly.
No, they're not going to
Yeah.
do that in a long-term scenario, right?
It would be hard. It would be really hard to
Yeah.
bring more into your home, knowing that you're decreasing the chance of your survival,
Yeah.
your family's survival.
Yep.
But yeah, like the thing is, you really need to plan. Just with that, you need to not. We always talk about the most important thing is like self-reliance, like,
Yeah.
and that's important across the board. That's why the government like has these, like you said, on Red Cross and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Is everybody needs to have their own supply for themselves because not everybody can help everybody.
No,
Like-
there's some people that, and again, there are some people that are maybe low income that don't have the same opportunities. They can't
Exactly.
do some of this
exactly.
stuff.
And I would hope I could help some
Yeah,
people out, but
exactly.
I'm not planning on giving all of my stuff
No.
out to all my neighbors because I'm the preparedness guy.
Yeah, but, no, you're not the preparedness guy. That's the guy we had on our podcast a while ago.
He's the preparedness guy.
He is the preparedness guy. But no, it's like I know there's people that can't, and maybe I would be more considerate for those types of people, But
Yeah.
and if it's my family, it's a whole nother story for me. But most people in your family probably aren't big preppers, and they're not going to have a ton for you.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yep.
Right. And so.
So it's just that idea of, I don't really need to prepare because I know a lot of people around me have grown up preparedness and we'll all be all right. Like you can't have that mentality. And that's a big reason why I think a lot of people don't prepare enough.
Yeah.
Because they just assume it'll all be taken care of or they can just share. So
And the problem is probably in a lot of low level situations that might be the case. Like a lot of them will help you out for a really short term thing, or if
exactly.
you lose your job or something. That might be true. It's just when you get into those situations that get much more dire that just goes right out the window.
yeah.
Right?
And I would hope people would help me out if I needed it, but
Sure.
they might not. I would understand. Like I didn't prepare myself.
Yeah.
Like I didn't prepare enough.
Yep.
And it's not. I shouldn't have to take from you. So
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and speaking of
Speaking
taking
of
from
taking.
you, this is probably one of the most popular ones that I see on all of our social media over the last 8 years of doing preparedness and survival stuff. Is all I need is a gun, and I'm going to take everybody else's stuff. Like that's my
AR is the skeleton key to
Yes.
preparedness.
Exactly. That's all I need, and I will live for the rest of my life. The funny thing is, these people have considered preparedness enough to know that there is a situation that they could see where preparedness is a good thing, where it's useful. But they're planning.
Yeah, it is kind of
Do you
interesting.
know what I
huh?
mean? Like they understand it, but they go, I don't want to have to deal with that.
I don't want to do all the other stuff.
It's too much work. I'm just going to get some guns and bullets and kill all those people. The funny thing is like those people are just, in the end, they're bad people. They're not good people. If this is like literally the way that they are
If this is their
looking
plan,
to survive, right?
they're
Can you imagine thinking that
Scumbags.
way? Like that's how you thought. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm just going to get, like even if I wasn't prepared, I couldn't make that decision. I couldn't even say it out loud.
right.
Which-
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just no way. And can you imagine telling your kids, well, that's the plan. We're just going to have to go kill people
Yeah.
and take their stuff. That's what we're going to
Just
do.
point aim.
Yeah. They got some food, just shoot 'em.
I'm gonna go in the back. And you come in the front.
Yeah, exactly. So
Bust our way in.
really weird. And then obviously a lot of these people haven't necessarily thought that through too much, because I really think the 99% of them in that first firefight are dead.
Yeah,
right?
that's the thing. I'm like, you can have all the shooting skill in the world, but you're attacking a defended area.
Sure.
From people you don't think are gonna have guns.
And even if it's not like a defended area, it's just like bullets start to fly.
I know. But it's like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
somebody just picks up a shotgun in a
Yeah.
a regular home to defend themselves. Like
Yeah.
A bullet's a bullet, man.
Again, yeah, anyone who's really sufficiently prepped, they're ready for those types of people.
Yeah.
Like they all are.
Yeah, there's an end to them.
Yeah.
At some point, like they can't go on forever killing everybody. Like,
Exactly.
they're gonna get
and
shot.
as soon as you take that stuff, well, the next guy is going to come down the street who's going to take your life and then take your food.
Yeah,
Right?
somebody's
It's
gonna take from them
It's a
too.
vicious cycle if that's how you want to do stuff, right? So yeah, I don't know. And then you start to consider, like, have these people considered less dire SHTF situations? Is it a 2-week disaster where water isn't available for some reason? And are you ready to kill somebody in 2 weeks to get water for your family?
That short of a time, huh?
Right? That's not a great, I don't think that's a great plan.
It's a couple hours into it.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's funny.
My food went bad.
You lose your job. Are you going to go kill somebody to get? It's a really stupid thing to think about, right? And obviously, most of them are thinking long term SHTF.
They're just being lazy.
apocalypse. They're being lazy, right?
They just don't want to like.
But they really want to hit that point home. That's all I need is
There's
AR.
true, and they do want a war. Some
Yeah.
of them do just want to shoot other people.
And that thing is that long term SHTF. That is the least thing that I am preparing for. Because I know that it's really not probably going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, again, it's for the everyday stuff that you should be.
Yeah.
That personal apocalypse, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
anyways, yeah, those werewolf preppers that I'm just going to take from those and kill.
Yeah,
That's an excuse.
good. Yeah, good on you. You're an awesome person.
Yep, good job.
Yeah. So another big one, and this is always probably for every project of mine.
Sure,
I
yeah.
just don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to put together a preparedness plan. I don't have time to collect a bunch of food that I don't know where to put.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time to pick up the skills and understand how much chlorine goes into a barrel. I don't have time for any of this. It's like
I get
I've
it.
got enough going on. And I think this is a pretty common and even a legit excuse.
Sure.
You know, it's like we all have obligations. We have responsibilities at home with families, chauffeuring. We've got day-to-day tasks for work and hobbies and things like that. It's like it is hard to find time to do something that you may never use.
Sure. That's very true, but it's like everybody is busy. Like I don't know anybody that's not busy.
No, everybody's busy. Everybody.
And people do it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just with anything you have to make the time.
It
Like
is.
you just have to prioritize whatever you want to do. Do
Yeah.
you want to sit at home watching whatever, or do you want to take a half hour
Right.
every week and prepare?
Yep.
Right.
it is.
It's just like with anything.
it is doable with anything. Yeah.
Yep.
It is hard when you don't have interest.
Sure.
So it's like
Yeah.
you've
Mhm.
got to you've
Yeah.
got to give yourself reason. Like if you have a family, I think it's easier and understandable. You're just like,
Yeah.
I've got to worry about if I can't take care of them. I mean, you've got to feel like a piece of crap if you're like not like
Living day to day.
thinking. Yeah.
you know?
And sometimes you're in that situation, you can't get out of it. I understand that. But
Yeah.
for the most part, like there's little things you can do to prepare to
Mm-hmm.
protect you and your family. I feel like everybody should be thinking about that. So as you're thinking about that, it's like, okay, I'm getting a grocery order. Let me throw in some extra water. Like I think there's you don't have time. You're right, but you can fit it into little bits of time through the day.
Yep.
Like the grocery shopping. Like that's an easy time. You have to go and get food every day.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Or order food or whatever it is.
Yeah. When you're ordering it, like add some extra things to store away.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is like most of us, I think, still like to learn things. It's like learning anything that can apply to like camping and stuff can apply to prepping. It's like if you're learning some skills, like think about them in a preparedness manner of like, oh, what would this benefit me if I didn't have a home or if we were stuck up or bug out and we're out in the forest or something like that.
Right.
And so we waste a lot of time. I waste tons of time. And at the end of every day, I'm like, why did I do that? Like, it takes time to plan, but to like align out like a small amount of time, even if it's like 10 minutes to like think about a little preparedness plan or look at your inventory or look at what's in your pantry.
Yeah.
I think that's an easy little goal that you can set that doesn't take hardly any time.
Even if
it's
you
going to be
did
wasted anyway.
a half hour a week,
Yeah.
like you're going to get there.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Really.
I hate how like just in general how I mean I'm like a time Nazi like I'm always like but I spend so much time thinking about the time
Yep.
that I'm
Yeah.
like, I could have been doing so many.
Yeah.
I could have been doing so much more with my time, but I'm thinking about how busy and how much work
Yep.
I have to do, and not getting any of it done. It's just like
Yeah.
we're just not good. Some people are really good at it, but for the most part, if you don't feel like you have time, you do. You just got to find out where that's at and
Yep.
where you're wasting it.
For sure.
Everybody's wasting time somewhere.
There's definitely places where you're wasting it. Yep.
You know what's not a waste of time?
What's that?
Protecting yourself from cybercrime.
Agreed.
Man, it's bad. You go online, click on an ad, and your whole house is gone.
Always
You
happens
never
to me all
know.
the time.
But cybercrime is a super big deal now. Like companies get attacked, personal attacks happen all the time. Today I got a little spam that there's mail at the mailbox that is undelivered. Please contact us. I mean, these are all like cybercrime things. So and scams. But you can definitely protect yourself by getting Surfshark. It's a virtual private network that can protect you and your devices from online threats. It's not bulletproof, but it is the best way to protect yourself from common thieves, like going on public Wi-Fi, like your address, your device is there and open. A lot of people don't even know that their computers are visible when they're on those. This will allow you to kind of cloak your device so that you can go and do those things in airports and travel, and also protect all of your devices at home. The one thing I like about their subscription is it gives you the ability to protect all of them. You don't get a limit to like 2 or 3 devices. And the other thing I like to use it for is I can connect to a server in the UK and I'll watch Premier League soccer as if I'm there, because they have the BBC and channels that are there. I just use my...
You can taste the fish and chips. Like
It's
you can
pretty
taste it,
freaking
right?
cool that you can do that.
Yeah.
You can basically make it as if you're in that location on that time zone and everything. So not only can you protect yourself, but you can use it for entertainment. And I think that's pretty cool.
I've done that too. I did. When I had Surfshark right at the beginning, and I wanted to watch the new Michael Jordan documentary, which, by the way, is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's right. You went on early, huh?
Yeah,
That's-
and it hadn't come out yet on the Netflix in the United States. It was on the British one, and I got
so
on there,
weird.
Boom, watched it.
Yeah. But yeah, so
awesome.
you can do those things with Surfshark, and it's super easy to use. Go to surfshark.deals/casual preppers, and you can put in our code casual preppers just as you do on every other website. And you'll get 83% off. That gives you 24 months, plus they'll throw in 3 extra, so you get 27 months of protection for less than $60. You can't beat it.
Nope.
It's fully refundable if you don't even know that it's going to be useful and you want to try it out. So go check it out.
Beautiful.
Surfshark.
All right. This next one is very understandable. Preppers are kind of weirdos.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people do not want to be associated with weirdos. And so this stigma with preparedness and with preppers is real. And it can get awkward when it comes up in a social setting. I think Cam and I have been here a million times, right? Where people are, oh, so you're a prepper? Okay.
All the time.
You got a podcast on? What's your podcast on?
I
Preparedness.
know, but you're
Right.
like, but
hold on,
listen
hold on.
about it. I always have to throw a but in there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But
You
we're
gotta throw a
morons
but.
and we don't know what we're talking about. It's
Yeah.
different.
It's definitely different. But the stigma is real, and there can be a negative connotation. With,
Yeah, everybody's like, "You got a bunker?" That
Yeah.
seems like another thing
Oh,
that
I
always
know,
comes in. Oh, you're a prepper. You got a bunker?
I
Like, oh my
wish.
gosh.
No,
Yeah.
bunkers are for dorks, but I wish I had one.
Yeah. No, I ain't that kind of prepper. I'm smarter.
Smarter than
I
that.
got a bunker above ground.
That's right.
My house.
But there really can be a negative connotation with preparedness and with preppers, and it can affect your job. It can affect your community standing, family, friendships, all that kind of stuff. But and I think that's one of the reasons why Cam and I do what we do is we really hope to start to break down the stigma about the crazy weirdo preppers, and we do that by doing weird, stupid voices. And I don't know how that works, but that's what we're trying to do, right?
It's just a title. I mean, we've really been preppers our whole lives.
Sure, yeah.
Like our parents are preppers.
Yeah.
But you never really wanted to be considered a prepper. But
No, and it's hard because
of this crap.
doomsday preppers did not help whatsoever because those people were all psychotic. Every single one of every episode, because you wouldn't watch it if they weren't.
No, exactly.
Right? It's not interesting if they're not being crazy.
Yeah.
Building castles or some stupid crap. Like, you know what I mean? I watched it. I loved it. I had
know.
fun watching it.
No,
right?
it's pretty exciting.
But you don't want to be a normal person does not want to be associated with that. And it's very, very hard. But you know what? There are ways that you can prepare without tipping people off that you're a prepper. Like, it's very simple. There's some things, I mean, just like having a car kit, you know, or an emergency fund and learning a few skills. All of this is really doable without tipping people off that you're a prepper.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't have to do that.
No. Having a 72-hour kit in your college dorm, like, it's super easy.
It's super easy, and it doesn't necessarily scream, "Oh, I'm trying to survive an asteroid strike."
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. And we talk about those gray man tactics all the time. Those are things that you can utilize to be prepared without showing everybody that that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like also like in the end, stop caring what people think. Anyways,
It's
like
true.
it really doesn't help you.
Yeah.
Ever.
They don't care.
They really don't.
They don't care what you think and if you like them, if you think they're cool. And
Yeah.
So who cares?
This is something like
That's
this
a
is
good point.
one of the lessons that it took me a long time to learn, but when I did, it's just like I want my kids to understand this so much. Like, stop caring. Like,
It's true.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who thinks what at school. They're a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
There's a
everybody-
time to care.
Sure, but very minimal.
Yeah.
and it's usually only like
Not about what people think. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like,
If
don't- my kids, when they say, "Oh, I don't care," that gets
Oh,
me
yeah,
like
yeah.
all worked
Sure,
up.
yeah.
But,
But
you're
I-
not meaning anything.
No,
like
no. I'm meaning like how people perceive you or what people think about you. The only people I care about are my family. If they think something about me, then I have to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
If it's some random dude that I know in town, I couldn't give a care less. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. That I don't care about that dude. He doesn't really care about me. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, right? But it's just a really good lesson to learn. Anyways, but also,
It's pretty surprising how many people don't really care.
yeah, they really
Like,
don't.
And they care about what you think and maybe, and then
Yeah.
you care about what they think, and neither of you care about each other.
No, you're too busy
So
caring
funny.
about the stuff that you're doing. And
Yeah.
like what you know what I mean? Like I don't care. I mean, unless it's like Cam, I care what Cam thinks about me or my other good friends, but like anybody
Yeah.
else, who cares, man?
Well, I'm your influencer.
Yeah, you're my influence. Well, it's just like we would have never even started this podcast if that's how we were
Right,
thinking.
right.
You know what I mean? And and it never definitely wouldn't have lasted.
Yeah.
Because we would have got to, the third or fourth bad review and went like, oh crap. We can't do
true.
this, So
Yeah, we got punished a bit, but
lots of those, yeah. But here's also the thing.
thick old skin now.
Yeah. Luckily, honestly, prepping is starting to become more mainstream.
Yeah,
It's becoming like the more people I talk to around town or on the internets or whatever, it's less weird than
Yeah.
it had been in the past. And I think the pandemic helped that.
yep. I like it too because like
yeah.
you get videos of like people canning and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
really good, genuinely smart people are sharing their like tips and skills. Like
And all types of people.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not just the crazy right-wing
Right.
Trump 2024 people. And that's what it used to always be, right?
did.
Is the super right-wing, but now it's like kind of everybody is getting into it because they're understanding that, it's actually helpful. This is actually a good thing to
Yeah,
to
this is a good thing
consider.
for us and for me.
Yeah, so, but that is one of the big things is people don't want to be associated with weirdos.
Nope.
So,
And another thing, people don't want to live.
yeah, I know people like this.
I threw this in there.
Yeah.
But there are those people that's like, if things get that bad, I don't want to be any part of it.
Yeah.
I don't even really care. Like, I don't want to survive. Like, it's going to be horrible. People are going to be, killing each other and, trying to get food, and you're going to be living a miserable life trying to take care and save your family. I don't want to live that way. And
Sure.
so there's ones that don't think that, things will get better in 3 to 5 days. They're like, it's going to get bad fast, and I just really don't want to be part of it.
It's a weird
I
thing
really
to
don't
me.
want to live in a horribly post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, and
in a horrible
I know people very, very close to me who feel this way.
Yes, yeah.
Right? I don't get it.
And
but-
you saw this too. Like COVID caused a lot of young kids to be socially isolated, and it caused families to not interact. And the depression just like shot through the roof.
Sure, yeah.
And so some people just know that it's going to be that way, and they're like, I just don't want to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't really care to live that way.
Like, I get that.
Like I can kind of understand that, but
like,
I
what-
also like life.
Like, what is
There's
the
more to
alternative?
life.
Like,
Yeah.
you're just gonna not eat, or what are you gonna do?
I know.
Kill yourself?
I know.
Like, what is the plan?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine. Like, at what point do you say, okay, it's too much? I kill myself and my family, or what do you do?
I don't know. But
Do you
I'm
know what I
like,
mean?
I feel like every day I'm trying to survive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's all
I have
survival.
Stomach hurts. Gotta go find food.
Yeah.
KFC's open. Awesome.
Yeah. This will help my
But it's like, in a way, we're already living that way.
Sure.
It's just that it's more convenient and easier to achieve certain things. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, as long as I have, my wife and kids, like,
Yeah.
I mean, every breath is important to me. Like,
Exactly.
I'm like, I will do anything to stay alive. When they're gone, that's a little different. I'm not going to just off myself,
Yeah.
but I'm probably going to be a little bit less careful. about
Sure.
things. I'm like,
Exactly.
but there's also other there's
Yeah.
also other people that like you think you would care about. Like I've seen that with older people, like when they get sick and their significant other dies,
Sure.
that
Yeah.
they're just like, there's nothing else. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like I know that I've never been old, so
Yeah.
getting there.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on the age, but yeah, you're.
But I just don't understand
75,
like
80.
the people that can think clearly and think, they're usually younger and healthy enough
Yeah.
to like stay alive. They're like, I don't even want to try. That to me, I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
But
I don't get it,
there's
man.
a lot of them that way. They're just like, you know what? I don't even need to prepare because what happens. I could care less to live in that world.
But again, it's not just about the comet that hits the earth or the huge pandemic. It's about your car breaking down, or there's like all these other things that.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
it's
prepared-
not just that.
Yeah, it's not just that. So it's a hard thing to get through to people.
Yeah,
sometimes
they do.
because you
And
think
none of them.
prepper-
Nobody likes this day and age to feel the slightest bit uncomfortable.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And even it's like I go camping. I'm like, man, this would suck
Sure.
to live out like
Yeah.
this. And some people love it, but I would do it. I would do it to to stay alive and stay safe. Like, and some people just feel like they need purpose, and they feel like once that purpose is gone, they can't find any other purpose.
To me,
And
living is survival's the purpose.
I know. I'm like,
right?
you're important. More than you think. Like
Yeah.
you can help other people. You can be part of a community. Like
Yep.
socially. Like there's just so much more to it than just I can't use my phone.
Yeah.
And I can't buy things. I'd just rather die.
The things, your priorities will change, and the things that you enjoy will change. It's hard for people to see it though.
Yeah.
Right.
If you kind of feel like you're in this category, I think it would be good to go and listen to our episode about why we love the apocalypse.
yeah, for sure.
Because
Yeah,
it's
a good
like there are some really good things in there
Yeah.
of like that could potentially be better. And
Right.
It's just kind of weird to think, but
one. It is kind of weird to think, but sometimes you're like, oh man, that
our
might
life's so
be better.
busy and we have so many things. Like I
Yeah.
think once we come off from that,
Yeah.
finally clean it out of our systems, like, man,
Yeah.
there's better things to life.
And it's just crazy how your priorities change and the things you like changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like for me, 10 years ago, like I'm not even the same person.
Yeah.
Completely different person. Like we had last night, we had our book club, me and Cam and a couple of our other buddies. I would have never done that in a million years 10
know.
years ago. And like
No,
having
neither.
these very serious discussions about stuff.
And reading books that I wouldn't have
Yeah.
picked up myself.
Yeah.
And we've picked up stuff from every one of them.
Yeah.
So.
And just having conversations about things that I never would have had a conversation with
Yeah.
with anyone before. And it's just like, and I enjoy it. It's great. I was like, I
Yeah.
would have never enjoyed that. So just knowing that, like, hey, you can change like things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's doesn't have to be just how it is right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Some of the I can't stand people for the most part, and I
Yeah.
work around people, but I'm in that like environment to where I have to be thinking and helping people.
Mhm.
But some of the best parts of my life have been just like in a group socializing.
Yeah.
It's like, I think if you were if you were the only last man
Yeah.
in the world, that's different.
That's a different story. Yeah.
You might want to just be like, why do I want to live this way? But as long as there's other people around,
Yeah.
like, isn't that, meditation talks about like, we were born to help other people.
Yeah, we were born to
To
be a
interact
human.
and be a human. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
So, another big one is, and this is a question we get all the time, is like my family's just not interested. So because of this,
There's a lot of that.
I
Yeah,
don't
we get a
wanna-
lot of people
Yeah.
talking to us about
So I
that.
can't do it because my family's not, right? And it's understandable because it's hard to be a serious prepper or get serious about preparedness when, your spouse isn't into it, and maybe it's even harder if money is tight or space is tight. How do you explain to someone about the money and the time that you're spending when they just think it's a waste?
That's true.
It's very hard, and I completely understand that. This is a huge hurdle for spouses to overcome because, again, that's one of the most common questions we get is,
Yes.
how do I get my wife or how do I get my husband into this because they think I'm an idiot, right? But I think there's some things you can do to still prepare that, that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't look like you're preparing to your spouse.
Exactly.
Right? One of those things is skills. You can quietly build up a bunch of different skills without them understanding what you're doing.
Yeah.
No cost to do it either, right?
These cargo pants have been wearing them forever,
Yeah,
honey.
I'm ready. But you could also add in some hobbies or activities that are prepping related, but that don't feel like you're
Yeah.
prepping, right? So like camping and hiking, fishing.
Camping's a big one.
Yeah, like you can always do that, but it doesn't necessarily say, babe, we're gonna go prep. No, it's just like, hey, let's go camping. Let's go do that.
Why do you have those grenades?
Yeah, don't worry.
I'm fishing.
I haven't been out in these hills for a while. Don't know what to expect. Right? But even things like martial arts, shooting, off-roading, all these kind of hobbies that can really up your preparedness game, but don't necessarily look like you're prepping and your spouse isn't going to get mad at you, right? For wasting time or
Exactly.
money or whatever that is, right? Saving money for a rainy day, obviously a crucial aspect of preparedness, but again, doesn't necessarily look like you're stocking up on 30-year shelf life food that would cause them to freak out on you, right?
If your significant other is freaking out when you're saving money, you
Yeah.
probably aren't going to work out.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Car kits, again, I keep coming back to that, but it doesn't necessarily look
Carpet
like
kits?
Carpet kits in the back of your truck. My dad had one when I was little. Loved that thing.
I did too.
Yeah.
I never wore a seatbelt like my whole childhood.
Oh, heck no,
I
dude.
roll around back there playing on Game Boy and stuff like as we
Oh,
traveled on
dude.
trips.
Yeah, always.
good times.
It was the best. We had a little radio back there.
There's
running
just
on
crumbs
batteries.
and like donuts and stuff that me and my brothers we had an old TV hooked with generator on the back. Best time of my
Oh my
life.
gosh. Good days. Good days.
So the
Right?
carpet kit.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, carpet kits. Food. Like Cam said, you can always add another water or something when you're shopping, and that doesn't scream, "Hey, I'm a prepper now, babe." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But additional can of beans, small bag of rice. It's not going to set off alarm bells.
Baby, I love this tuna.
That's just great tuna.
I
just
want
some more.
65 pack.
Yeah. I'm never going to run out. But you can
Take them to work.
Yeah. But you can do that slowly but surely and build up some preparedness without
You definitely
getting
can.
them upset. And you can always look at ways to get them interested. Maybe, prepper movies, books, podcasts, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Maybe simulate blackout.
Simulate a blackout. You can do that. Anyways,
Maybe
but
a
that is-
hostage situation at home.
yeah. Put them in handcuffs, tape their mouth shut.
Hey,
Then they're definitely
you're
going to
just
prep.
trying to train them.
Look, this is what could happen.
I'm just saying.
Just trying to help you to
I'm
see.
just saying.
I'm going to go get that can of tuna now. For some reason. Anyways, that's, if your family's not interested, that's a tough one.
Yeah, true. Okay.
You got some mayo?
That it's you already opened a can? I don't have enough room. That is the other one that would be I don't have enough room is a big problem because like our house, when we first moved in, the basement has this like little underneath the front porch room. I think yours does too, right?
Yeah, it does.
We all had that little space, and you're like, this
Not
is-
all of us.
Yeah,
Some people do.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you're like, oh, this is great. It's cool, and it's boxed in. It's a perfect place for food, but that's out of the way, and you can hold about 10 cans and like
yeah.
3 things of water, and then you're like, oh crap. Now you really have to like plan and figure out how to store more food in different places. So not having enough room is a legit problem for a lot of people, and it's just ugly to have it around. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't have a nice like basement or room that's like a large pantry with shelves and everything, it gets real ugly.
Sure.
It's hard to like store and not look like you're living in a grocery store or something.
Costco.
Yeah. I just remember like different rooms in my grandparents' house. I'm just like, what is this room? Like the storage rooms.
Looks like
just
Smith
like
and
dark
Edwards.
and kind of gross looking.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Oh, yeah.
shelves that have been just like crappily nailed onto the wall. And you're like, this is a dungeon. And so like, that's the thing is like, you got to find that space. Apartment living's even harder.
Yeah, it's not easy.
You can't find places to put your food storage. So I understand that being an excuse. You're just like, I don't have room.
Yeah.
But we've done several episodes talking about ways that you can kind of disguise and hide it, like behind couches, under your bed. You can lift your bed a little bit more so that you can slide Tupperware or like the little totes and stuff like that,
Tuna.
full of
Tuna.
a bunch of tuna in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
And-
good smell.
there's cans of tuna under the bed. I'm a prepper. Welcome to the Prepper Club.
Welcome. You smell that? I'm a prepper.
You smell like a prepper. So, yeah, but a lot of people claim that they don't have enough room when in reality, you just have to be creative with your space.
Sure.
There's definitely storage space if you can look and find it.
And like, it's not all about storing stuff anyways.
That's true. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many other ways to prepare without just buying cans of tuna. Okay? Like, there's other things you can do.
Right.
So, like, yeah, that could be an excuse.
Yeah, that's a good
to
point.
an
I didn't really
extent.
put that in there. I was thinking like so much on the food
Yeah.
storage side, but it's like having a plan is better than most people.
Exactly.
Just like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
This is where we put the tuna. This is where, you know?
This is the best sales on the tuna.
Yeah.
So these are the stores we're going to get
Mayo
first.
and
Right.
pickles,
Plan number 1, take from a neighbor. Plan number 2,
tuna,
in a shoe.
tennis shoe. Yeah.
And then, but yeah, like that's great because like our vehicles too become like little storage spaces. Maybe you only have like a little bike or motorcycle.
Yeah.
Got a rack on it, right? Put a rack on.
Got
it.
a rack on
Stick
her.
some food in there. But yeah, there's other things like small gardens and things like that. Like you can prepare outside of just storing canned tuna through your whole house.
Can you?
But there's many different aspects to it. Skills, tuna skills,
How good your tuna skills?
sprinkler sucking skills.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there's a lot of different aspects. So don't put it off because you just don't have the room to put
Yeah.
food storage in there. Learn how to cook better.
Yeah, do some other stuff.
Gardening.
There's a lot of other things you can
Yeah,
do
so,
than
anyway.
store tuna. I got to tell you though, in today's unpredictable world, being prepared for unexpected health challenges is more crucial than ever, and that's why we are so glad we discovered Contingency Medical. Imagine a health crisis strikes. Usual channels for medications are disrupted. Does this sound familiar, Cameron? That's where Contingency Medical saves the day by providing you access to emergency packs of antibiotics for ordinary ailments like urinary tract infections, ear infections, strep throat, and more. And I thought about this.
Oh, I
over
just
the
used a
last
bottle
week.
of this last week.
Did you?
I
Yeah.
gave to a neighbor. Yep.
That's so great.
Had an allergic reaction and died.
That
But
was
no,
fun. No.
But that's the thing. Like, I was able to help somebody during the holidays
Yeah.
where you can't go to the pharmacy or anything.
I was thinking about that this last week when everybody was sick in my house. I'm like, well, man, that would suck if for some reason we couldn't have gotten these antibiotics. But I'm like, wait, I have a
Pour them
contingency
all into
medical
a
pack.
soup.
Yes,
And all of
antibiotic
this
soup.
Big, cooked in a big vat. Yep.
That's right. So,
But I ended up using it recently
That's
because
awesome.
everything was closed. So
Contingency Medical even has symptom management medicines for anything from nausea and diarrhea to motion sickness, ensuring you're up to the task even when you're not feeling your best. I recently ordered my own ReadyPack Plus. Cam did the same thing this last year. It was so easy. I honestly, I keep telling you this, I couldn't believe how easy it was. Contingency Medical also provides access to board-certified physicians for guidance on safe and effective treatment. Plus, your prescriptions are shipped from licensed pharmacies, so you know you're receiving quality care from start to finish. And get this, Contingency Medical offers free shipping on all packs. You gotta have free shipping. I don't like paying for shipping on anything.
oh, it gets me super mad.
It upsets me. So
like eBay, $50 shipping.
like, no, thank you. So there's really no reason to delay. Now is the time to prioritize preparedness. So don't wait. Go to contingencymedical.com/CPP and enter promo code CPP for $20 off your pack. That is $20 off any pack at contingencymedical.com/CPP with our promo code CPP.
Oh, man. So that's like such a good sponsor.
It's fantastic. And
One
again,
we've dreamed of.
Yeah.
having a little medical kit.
Dreams coming true.
Yeah, it is.
Another excuse that, again, I get. I can't afford it. Prepping can get expensive depending on how you do it.
Living's expensive. so
Everything is
How do you
expensive.
prepare for more expense? Yeah.
But the thing is, it doesn't necessarily have to be all that bad. You don't have to go out and spend hundreds or thousands of dollars. We've done several episodes specifically on preparing with no money or on a very tight budget. And again, there's a lot of things you can do to prepare that really doesn't cost you anything, like skills, gathering information like YouTube, podcasts, local library, all that stuff. You can get some really good info for cheap. Emergency plans, free, all over the internet. Situational awareness, you don't have to pay for that. That's something that you could start figuring out right now. Even secondhand stores like Army, Navy surplus stores and stuff have great inexpensive stuff that you can utilize for preparedness. So, again, there are a lot of things that you can do that will not cost you that much and will help you become more prepared. The thing is, a lot of people are just really horrible with budget and spending anyways.
For sure.
They're just not good at it, right?
What's the budget?
Huh? What's the budget?
What's the budget?
What's the budget? How much tuna can I buy with it? But if you do put yourself on some sort of budget, you can usually find $50 or even $20 a month to put towards preparedness. It just doesn't take that much. How many cans of tuna can you buy with $20? A lot of cans. Okay?
Maybe. I don't know now.
Depends. I don't know.
I haven't looked at tuna in a
I
while.
haven't either. You can't afford it is definitely something that is an excuse, but there are ways to get around it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, expense is a big one.
Yeah.
And nowadays especially. Another reason a lot of people, a big excuse is perfectionism. They want to do it the best and right before they even do it at all.
Sure.
Like, I think we do that with a lot of things.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to get into it because, like, I'm not going to do it very well, and I don't want to, either for embarrassment or waste of resource or time.
I hear
So
it all
you
the time, people with like jiu-jitsu. And once I'm in shape, I'll come in, and once I have more time,
Yeah.
it's like, I hear it all the time. It's like, I get it. Like, you don't want to come in and, like you said, be embarrassed or not do it as well as you could. It's similar to like preparedness.
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry about that.
I have
Like,
several of those.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, like it is. There are some little details, and you obviously don't want to get started without having a little bit of background knowledge. But
Sure.
But you can though. Like,
It's not hard.
you know what water is, right? You need it.
Yeah.
And most of it, tap water is good to store as is. So
Sure.
easy enough. Food, I mean, it's in your pantry. It's already there. Add some extra. There's not a lot to it. You don't have to do it perfectly.
No.
But I do understand how that gets in the way of like wanting to do it. There's one quote from, I think I'm not sure. Do you know who John Roger and Peter McWilliams?
Not a
they,
clue.
Are they important prepper?
Not that I
community
know
people?
of.
But I thought this little quote was kind of good. They said, the primary reason people do not do new things is because they want to be able to do them perfectly the first time. It's completely irrational and practical and not workable, and yet it's how most people run their lives.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, that's one thing I've been trying to like teach my kids. Like, when I show them something and they can't say to me, I already know how to do it, then they don't even want to touch it.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're not going to do it perfect. Like,
No.
you're learning and we're teaching you. It's like a sport. Especially in sports, drives me nuts. Like my kids, I'm like showing them how to golf or something, and they're just like, I can't hit it very far. I'm done. And I'm like, you've got to practice, like step by step. It's like
If you ever want to get good at anything, you have to be comfortable looking stupid for a
you
while.
do.
Like, there's just no way around
Yeah.
it.
And so
know?
where it's an expense and something you might not
Yeah.
use, like I can understand how perfectionism can kind of get in the way of prepping, but honestly, no one does it perfect.
No.
And you're gonna waste some time and some
Yeah.
food, but it's better there than not. So
That's the process.
yeah,
You just get better at something by doing it.
yeah.
So
yeah, you're not gonna do it perfect. You're gonna make mistakes, and you're gonna come up with a better plan, like by doing that. So
Yep.
don't let that
100%.
get in the way.
Yeah. Another thing is like, people don't want more stress and more fear in
Yeah.
their life. And this is
That's
obviously
kind of what you were talking about at first. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to think about the worst case. Like,
Yeah, I just don't want to, right? And I think it is an assumption that people make that preppers have a lot more stress and a lot more fear, right?
I think they do.
They assume that.
It's just the opposite.
It really is. And I think that's because of the, the media portrayal of preppers and shows like Doomsday Preppers. And when you watch those,
It's like they're like, you see like this, some, has
Yeah.
their hand on the trigger the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like looking over
it's
their
gonna
shoulder.
it's like, are you seriously? Like,
Yeah.
this is not the type of prepping that
Yeah.
you want to get out in the world. But, I don't know how many times I've seen these types of comments that, we're doing what we do because of fear. And it seems so stressful to prepare because you're always constantly thinking about all these bad things.
Bad things, yeah.
Yeah, And another thing I always hear is like, oh, our kids probably feel all this pressure because you guys are preppers and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's not the truth. It's really not. It's actually the
My
opposite.
kids just think I have an obsession with knives and backpacks.
That's all it comes
That's all
down
that they
to.
think.
Yeah. Preparedness does not have to be about stress and fear. And honestly, it shouldn't be about stress and fear. It should be a net positive in your life when it comes down to it. It's about eliminating fear and stress for me.
And it does.
Yeah.
Like, that's what, it is funny. I think they do portray it as like they're stressed out all the time and like worried about everything.
Yeah. And it's not that
I can worry about way less now, which is super nice.
Yeah. And if you are feeling that when you're preparing, you're probably not doing it right. You're doing something a little off.
You're doing it out of like a fear mongering like
Not a-
podcast.
Yeah, you're watching a certain,
Hopefully not ours.
You're watching a certain person on YouTube that you shouldn't be probably.
Exactly.
So,
Now, at least you're getting somewhere.
you're
but
getting somewhere. Yeah. Some people just honestly they can't handle their everyday life. And they go one more thing on top of this where I'm thinking
there's
about.
plenty of that.
Ooh, you know what I mean? That seems exhausting. It seems draining. I don't want to deal with it. And anxiety, we all know it's so prevalent today, And so I can see where these excuses come from, but it's usually just being informed about the process or the proper way to do it that you need to eliminate that kind of stuff. And again, that's one of the things that Cam and I are actively trying to do with the podcast. It's like, no, this isn't scary. This isn't stressful.
Mm-hmm.
It can be fun, and it can be a thing that actually relieves fear and stress.
It really does too. Like that's probably one of the biggest reasons I do it.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't have to worry about down the road a couple of days if
Yep.
we're have a bad storm or something.
Exactly.
And then there's the pessimist type. It's just a huge pain. It's just a waste. They
Sure.
kind of just look at it all as in a negative way. It's just like you're buying a lot of food and wasting a lot of food that you don't need and probably won't use.
Sure.
The disaster's never going to come, and this goes along with the families that sometimes aren't supportive of the prepper
Yeah.
idea. People are just going to come take your stuff and kill you anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, why have a stockpile when, or whatever type of disaster is going to wipe it all out. So it's like, why do it? It's pointless. It's a waste of time. And I do see quite a few people that way. Like some of the people that have interviewed us, I feel kind of are that way.
Oh, yeah, for
They're
sure.
just like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty funny. You're storing a bunch of food. You're
Yep.
dumb. It's not going to matter. Never going to happen. So the pessimist is, that person that just sees it all in a negative way. It's bad for the people that do it. It's bad for those that aren't, It's just not good. I hate it.
Yeah, and
So-
honestly, it can be a pain sometimes. Like
It is a
it's
pain.
in the butt to
Oh,
do.
I got to rotate that food or use it.
Yeah, or that fuel is
And
like,
it's-
oh, yeah.
yeah,
Like there
exactly.
are parts of it that are that way, but
I just don't do those parts.
yeah, you still do them. Yeah, let's do other stuff. Exactly. Then you don't have to
Yeah,
worry
so
about it.
maybe I do have that in me in some spots.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is a good thing, and I think it does reduce a lot of stress for me, and it would. And the more prepared everybody individually, is, it's going to help everybody in the long run. So
Yeah, and it's like we talk about these excuses for people who don't want to start prepping, but also a lot of these things we tell ourselves as preppers sometimes, like, I don't want to rotate that. I'm just because of this or this or this,
Yeah.
right? So it's not just these are excuses coming from people. This could come from your own brain sometimes, right? There's just a few others I wanted to throw out there, like procrastination.
yeah,
That's
which applies to a lot of these.
yeah, like you want to prepare,
you want
but
to procrastinate because of them.
yeah, but you just push it off, right? That's a big one too. I don't know how. Like it could seem daunting.
Yeah,
Right?
Yep.
Like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yep. And that was kind of like not only the perfectionism, it's just
Yeah.
like, I don't know how to do it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm just not going to do this too much. If I can't survive everything, why should I prepare for anything?
True.
I've actually heard that one several times. Like,
Yeah.
well, it doesn't matter if you can pee, you're all dead. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, okay.
What if they poison the water supply?
Yeah.
You're dead.
So much. And it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But like all 99%.
Almost all of these that we like talk about, the preparedness is going to be the same.
Yeah, it's all going to be the same. So, anyways, that's common prepper excuses. There's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of them. There's probably more than that, but those are the
Get
ones
off
that
your butts and
Yeah.
get it done.
Yeah, and these are just really great things to consider when you're trying to get a friend or a
Yeah.
family member or somebody you know, or just for your own sake of getting better at preparedness, right?
sure.
Like things you tell yourself. You know what I tell myself? Is I need to
need
get
more too.
hydrated.
Yeah.
I need to get hydrated because you know electrolyte deficiency or imbalances, they can cause headaches, cramps, fatigue, weakness. And as people who want to be prepared and ready for anything, the last thing you need is something that will slow you down when you need to be ready the most. That's why we at Casual Preppers have teamed up with Element. It's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. It's formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to following a keto, low carb, or paleo diet. And we think Element is perfect for bug out bags and EDC kits. It contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium. That's sweet spot, Camp. That's sweet, sweet, sweet spot. Casual Preppers listeners can get a free Element sample pack when you make any purchase through our exclusive Casual Preppers link. It includes 1 packet of every flavor, and that's a great deal. They offer no questions asked refunds on all orders. You don't even have to send it back. This offer may be claimed by first-time and returning Element customers, you guys. If you've already tried it and you loved it, continue using the link, using our code, and you're going to get another sample pack every time you order. That's fantastic. You're not going to get it anywhere else. You got to go to our link, drinklmnt.com/casualpreppers. Get your free sample pack. That is drinkelement.com/casualpreppers.
It's time for the quick and dirty medical tip.
It's amazing how good that stuff is.
My gosh, man.
Like the chocolate one, I've come around. I like it.
Really? I
Like
haven't-
you
that's
warm
not
it
my-
up, it just tastes like healthy chocolate, like chocolate
Yeah.
milk. Or it's weird.
dude, the grapefruit for me is just
I didn't
doing
think it would be as good. My wife's been like, she's been heating it up and putting a packet in there. Oh, it's so good.
Did you just put it in straight water? Just one packet in straight
yeah,
water?
just
That's good
it honestly,
Wow.
because it has that salty taste. So
Yeah.
it's like, it tastes like hot chocolate. It's super crazy, but it's
That's
way
nice.
better for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one's pretty simple, but a lot of times when your kid or something, falls down the stairs, doesn't get pushed down,
Push down the stairs.
Yeah.
I mean, falls.
runs into something, they usually cut the inside of their mouth, and
Oh, yeah.
and it's always kind of concerning. You're like, oh crap, do I need to take him in? Do I need to have this sutured? They bite their tongue. Is it bad enough that I need to have somebody look at it? So I just wanted to quickly go over that real quick. So lacerations in the mouth, most of those are, pretty clean and they're going to heal on their own. Obviously, if it's through and through, it probably needs to be sutured, close one side of it. But tongue lacerations, you bite your tongue all the time, right?
All the time. Every day.
But kids commonly, trampolines and everything, they're always snipping on that tongue. And large lacerations, so the ones that probably should be you should consider closing are ones that are over 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters in length. On the dorsum, so the top surface of the tongue, or into the deep muscle layers. The thing is, they even did a study on this, and ones that are kind of large to that point, they didn't find that closing them was always better. So for the most part, large lacerations in the mouth and of the tongue, they don't need to be closed. So if you were to suture them, though, this is where you'd have absorbable suture and close it. Within a few hours, half the time it pops open and it wasn't even useful in the first place. So when you get a tongue laceration, the best thing is to kind of swish and try and clean it up as good as possible. It hurts like a son of a gun, but a lot of them don't need to be closed. The other thing is, a lot of times you want them to stick their tongue out, or you grab their tongue and you're trying to look at the laceration. You actually want to look at it while it's sitting in their mouth. These bleed like a sieve, so sometimes that's hard, but when the bleeding's slower, just let them rest the tongue inside their mouth, and you can see how well everything lines up.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
Okay.
it actually looks good. It's not like a big flap hanging over the gum or, on the tooth. Those obviously are going to cause some problems, and you probably want to try and reduce them, suture them. So,
Nice.
big gaping lacerations on the dorsum of the tongue that are less than 2 centimeters. They don't need to, see that it rests in the mouth okay and just leave it. And like I said, ones that are over 2 centimeters should be considered to be closed with suturing. But even in a study with 73 children that 12 of them underwent closure of that laceration, they had some issues with like scarring and stuff like that. So for the most part, you probably don't even need to close a mouth laceration.
Huh.
If it's
Interesting.
super big and huge flap of skin, then you probably should look at doing that. Otherwise, just let it heal on its own.
Cool.
So
This is not medical advice, by the way.
yeah, exactly.
as all of our medical tips.
Yes.
I like that. Well, Cam, thank you so much. Anything else before we go?
No, I don't have anything else.
Nothing else. That's it, huh?
Have a good new year.
Awesome.
Still going, right?
It is still going. Don't say it, though.
Yeah, don't say it.
All right, guys, stay survived.